Welcome to Maker's Chat, a podcast community for creatives. I'm your host, Danielle Kaminsky, artist, maker, and educator from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Join me as we share our stories and explore the topics that are most important to creative entrepreneurs and makers. If you have a stash of craft supplies that you are ready to turn into cash, then my 10-day workshop for handmade business owners is for you. Stash to Cash is going to give you everything that you need to go from craft supplies to profit in just 10 days. So all you have to do is head on over to s2c.danielleskaminsky.com to grab your copy for only $27. That is the letter S, the number 2, the letter C, .danielleskaminsky.com, and you'll find that link in the show notes. So if you're ready to go from a supply hoarder to a handmade business owner, then this is going to be for you. Or maybe you have a handmade business and you've kind of let it sit to the wayside and you're ready to get that thing jump started again. This 10-day workshop is going to get you there, and it's only $27, so head on over now, and I can't wait to see you inside. Hey everybody, welcome back to Maker's Chat. I'm here today with my friend Michele Allen from Belle Creations. So thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do in your business and maybe what brought you to starting your business.
Well, I worked in a very non-artistic, I can't think of the word, but not artistic at all, business for 15 years. And I worked my way to the top. I worked my way as high as I could go. Like there was no further I could go. And once I got there, I realized that I didn't really want to be there. And I'm absolutely blessed to be in a position that I was able to leave that position. And, most people have to work really hard and part-time and work really hard to get into 100% doing this business. And I did work with a friend, an entrepreneur who started her trucking business, and I did work for her for part-time for a couple years. And then I decided, this is really what I want to do. And at some point in between there, I bought a canvas, and I bought a canvas at Walmart and just felt like, I think I've told you before, I felt like such a fraud buying this canvas, like I was going to get stopped by security in the store or something. And ma'am, I'm not sure who you think you are, but this is not for you. It was very intimidating. And I actually painted the Janis Joplin kind of likeness. That was that canvas. That was the first thing I did. And that was in April of 2020. And then in September, I said, I'm going to do this. And then January 21 was my last day working for the trucking company.
Wow.
That's it in a nutshell, kind of?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's where a lot of people kind of end up. They sort of have that moment, I'm not sure. And it's like, you know what? This is it. So I'm curious. So tell everybody, I know I've seen a lot more of your work, but some of our folks maybe haven't. Tell everybody kind of, you work on canvas, but you work on other mediums too.
Yeah, currently I'm really into the multimedia, kind of like setting down a background of whatever stamps, stencils, decoupage paper, and then just kind of seeing what comes out of that. So I've been doing that lately, but I love painting on furniture, and I really like upcycling things. I really like being able to see something and trying to figure out what it could be. So I really like going to thrift stores and, taking that 1980s decor that seems to be the really bad stuff right now. Because, the 60s and 70s stuff is really popular. But that 80s stuff with all the cutout hearts and all the soft corners and stuff, if you can figure out something to do with that, I feel like you are really creative and imaginative if you can do some with that stuff. So yeah, upcycling is a big thing I love to do. I'm not sure how successful I am at it. There's a lot of people out there that just have these amazing ideas and they're so creative, and it's good that we can all get inspiration from each other for sure. I think that's about it really. Anything anything I can get my hands on.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite projects that you've upcycled?
Oh my gosh, let's see. I honestly have the most pride, and it's probably part of my raising, in things that I have around my own house that are just worn and beat to crap. Can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, sometimes I think there's this kind of balance between, can you afford it, or are you cheap, or are you not going to take the time to do it? You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, I can do something with that and make it better. I can paint that cheap end table that's not even real wood that I bought, 15 years ago, and make it look good again. And at least, I think there's some pride in that, because for so long, when we were first married, we were so poor. We lived in a trailer, and there were 7 of us living in this little trailer, and so you just had to be very creative. You had to be very creative about a lot of things. You had to be very creative about the food you ate, and about clothes, and about your decor, and just about everything. So there's a lot of pride, I think, in just making things look nice that probably aren't really that nice.
I feel you though, making use of what you have. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can go buy things all day long, but if you can take something that you've already got, save it from the landfill. I mean, it's good for the environment, right? But
yes.
Also, like you said, it's like you can do something unique with it, and then you have something that everybody in the world doesn't have, and the story behind it, and it feels good. It feels like you saved something. It's a good feeling. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just a good feeling.
Now I really, because it's funny, just this morning, because I do write every morning. I try to write every morning, most mornings. I've been telling myself, you've got to do stuff with what you have, Michelle. Stop. You don't need, like, I'm like, well, I could do that if I just had this one thing, no. You've got plenty of things. Do with what you've got.
I had a conversation with another artist. It's been a while. I want to say it was sometime last year, but we were talking about the fact that I feel like, as as an artist, as a maker, you do some of your most creative work when you're first starting something, because you're not ready to invest money in expensive materials yet. You're not willing, or maybe just not ready. Like you said, it may even be that imposter syndrome popping up that's telling you, oh, you can't do that. You don't have, what it takes to buy those materials. So you go into your stash, right? You go into what you have in your house and on your person, and try to figure out what you can do with it. And I feel like some of the coolest projects come out of that process. I don't know. I've done that before, when I feel like I'm just stuck and I just don't know what to do next. Like, I literally will walk into like my little craft room, my little studio space, and I'll just kind of stand in the middle of the room and look around. And it's like, what is in here that I have no idea why it's here? I mean, surely I'm not the only one. Please tell me you've got stuff like that. It's like, why am I keeping this?
Absolutely, 100%. And then I try and remember why. What I was thinking I would do with it. And a lot of times you think you can do something before you know better, and so honestly, to try and do it now that you quote unquote know better, you can do some cool stuff that way. And then other times it's just okay, well, that didn't work.
That didn't work. And it is, but the process, even the process of taking the thing and starting to try to do something with it, even if it flops.
Yeah.
That for me, that'll help me. That'll help me if I'm in a rut and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. If I'm feeling like that and I go shopping for supplies, it's going to be a bad day. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and so I've just learned, especially when I'm like trying to come up with something new, don't go buy new things. That's just a recipe for a craft room full of supplies that are not going to get used.
Oh yeah, gosh. And right now I'm kind of in two places because I have the store now, and then everything was at my house. And so I've taken about half of the stuff there. So then I'm in that situation where I feel like I'm stuck. So I have to come up with something else to do, be it staging something or changing up the displays or, because I have taken, like I've got a wooden candelabra thing sitting there that I bought, thinking I would do something with. It's at the store now, but I'm like, okay, what can I do with this? And a box and stuff like that, to try and kind of ignite those fires, like you say, when your supplies are limited, you make do.
Yeah. And you come up with some cool stuff that way. Tell us more about the store, because that's a new development. So tell us about your store.
It is. It's new, mid-February. So about 2 months. So I was approached by a person that I've known for over 20 years probably, but it was that situation where we just kind of knew who each other was. We didn't really know each other. And she had leased this location in December. So she had it for a couple of months. And she asked me to put some stuff in there. And I said, yeah, I'd love to come look at it. So we met, and the more we talked, the more we realized we had a lot of things in common, like some common passions. So, because she doesn't think she's an artist, but she is creative. And she is the domestic violence advocate for the county that store is in. And as you know, because we've talked, I have a history of domestic violence. And so when we discovered that about each other, and that I've always felt like I had a calling there somehow, I'm really not quite sure even now, 30 years later, what it is, but I do feel like there's something there for me. And so with those two, with that in common, and kind of our philosophies about art and stuff, that's how we came together. And so all of my stuff is there. I left the booth and went all in on this store. I kind of see, it sounds like I kind of do that, right? Like I left my job, left it, I guess I figure you might as well go all in.
That's what I was about to say. You're like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to give it everything. And I mean, I personally, I think that's very admirable. And I mean, it's smart, in my opinion, to consolidate your energy sometimes, because if you spread yourself too thin, it can get hard. I'm speaking from experience. I'm bad about that sometimes, taking on a little more than I should. But I do think that consolidating your efforts into one place, and then you have a place that's wholly you. Like I mean, obviously I'm in South Carolina, you're in Oklahoma.
Kansas.
That's what I was like, wait a minute, it's Kansas City. Which Kansas City is it? Anyway, sorry. But so I know we've never like spent time together, and I've never been able to go in your store, but I just have this feeling that if you walk in, it feels like you.
I hope so. I know I've had people, I have my sister-in-law and the woman that I worked for that owns the trucking company. They both have degrees in like I don't know what it's called, but it's basically interior design, textile, that kind of stuff. I've had both of them come in and be like, okay, do you feel like spending some money in here? Does this place make you want to does it feel like you have to have these things? And I don't feel like it's done. I don't feel like it's anywhere near done. It's nowhere near what I want it to be just yet. But they're two people that I knew would be completely honest with me. And so I've taken their advice and made some of the changes and stuff, and just continue to keep, I'm definitely open. I hope I'm open to constructive advice. I don't want to say criticism because that just sounds negative, but constructive advice on what to do and how to do those things. I know I've taken your advice a lot of times.
Well, I think I'm the same way. It's like you have to be open to hearing what people have to say. You also have to be able to discern when it's something you don't need to listen to. Yeah. But at the same time, it's, if being open to that, I think is what helps us grow and helps us keep moving forward. So I love that.
And I mean, a lot of times it might be some time before I get around to implement, like it might be some time before I get, because I do think I guard my energy and my time and my personal resources, like I can only dole out so much of that. Because when I do too much, I will get sick or run down, or then you're out of commission for however long.
Right. It's counterproductive, right?
Yeah.
What are your favorite, when you're creating, what are your favorite materials to use? Do you have like favorite products, things that you just automatically gravitate towards?
It's funny because I wouldn't think so. I don't think I may not be very self-aware, Danielle. But when I go to show something, I use recycled paper. I use decoupage papers a lot, I'm finding. And different things for different stuff. Like I might like this thing of this brand and this thing of this brand. I like the DIY paint because it's got so much texture, and you can really build it up, and you can almost make your own raised stencil out of that paint. You don't even need a medium. Yeah. And then I've gotten into the Paint Pixie chalk paint, and it is just different enough that you can do different things with it. Yeah. So yeah, I have a few favorite, but I really am into the decoupage papers for sure. Yeah. I just like being able to build something on top of them. Yeah. And sometimes they might even get completely lost in there, but
it was the inspiration. It was what started it.
Yeah. For sure.
You do a great job with decoupage papers. That's something I'm still learning, still mastering. I'm not great at the process yet. I know how, and I can do it on small things. I would like to get better to do it on larger things like furniture and stuff. I have a tabletop right now in the store that I would love to find a large thing in decoupage, like the entire top of this table, but I'm not great with large surfaces yet. So we'll see.
Well, I think that maybe that's, you saying that makes me think maybe that's why I changed my favorite things, is that, you don't feel like you quite have it mastered. So it becomes your favorite thing because you want to really I think I have some pieces. I have a mid-century modern credenza, and I just know that there are people that would look at that and know exactly what what papers to put inside that would tie it together and make it, and I really strive to get to that place. Yeah. Where I'm picking the perfect thing, the perfect thing.
So what colors do you sort of have a color palette that you gravitate towards?
Definitely. And it's definitely orange, oranges and reds and turquoise. Orange, the turquoise, I call it the Trinity actually in my mind. Turquoise, red, and yellow, and kind of all variations of that. Yeah. All tones of that. I think that I'm looking at, they just go so beautiful to me together,
That is a pretty combination. I love turquoise and orange together. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love purple though. So like for me, I like turquoise, yellow, and purple. I'm not, but everybody doesn't like, I'm learning this. The more that I'm talking with other artists, purple's a love-hate thing. You either love purple or you hate purple. People have some strong opinions about the color purple.
Yeah. I have done maybe 3 pieces with purple and green and orange. And I love purple and orange together. I love purple and orange together, and something about throwing that green in the mix. I don't know. It's a weird combination. And I think I like being able to make it work.
So I like that. I'll tell you. So South Carolina, Clemson is one of our teams, and it's my team. And so it's not purple and it is purple and orange and white are the colors. And you're right. It's a weird combination. And like people are always talking about like those colors don't go together. And I'm like, but they can. You know.
Yes, definitely. And it's weird because my favorite, this is gonna sound silly, but my favorite eyeshadow is I use purple and orange. I just think it has, I don't know, it's like a sunset glow, natural. I mean, like, it just it looks natural to me.
Yeah, no, I could kind of see that actually. Yeah, the sunsetty colors. I was looking at a piece that someone had shared online earlier this week that was a sunset that had purple and orange, and those were the primary colors that were really, and it was really pretty. So I could see it. Could totally see it.
Yeah, I love it.
So what are your hours at the store? What's your schedule look like?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 11 to 6. That's what it is right now. I feel like our hours will change. You have to kind of adapt as things happen. And then on Saturday from 10 to 4 for the hour. I'm there on days that we're not open, but I want to start being there on Tuesdays just to be able to make that my workspace. I'm trying to separate my home from my work a little bit.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it has taken a lot of the pressure off, because in the evenings, I'm not so like your instinct is to think, or my instinct was to think I should be in the office, or I should be in the studio. I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. But when it's not here, there's no choice. And when you're going to be there for 7 hours straight without distractions, and training your family to know that those are your working business hours and stuff. Not that my family was taking advantage of me or anything, but they now know that they can't count on me on those days during those times.
Yeah. It's just a way to put up a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, when you're working for yourself, the boundaries that we give ourselves are harder, I think, even than the boundaries we give other people, because you do have that inclination to be like, well, if I'm not doing and I say that everyone's not like this, I know, but our personality types, it's hard to truly rest and like relax in that. Like we feel like, but if I'm not doing anything, there's this thing that I could be doing that maybe I should be doing for work. Yeah. When, the point of downtime is to actually have some downtime. And you need it. Your brain needs it to be creative. It needs that space to think about something other than, but it can be hard to give yourself that when you're working for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I like, and on Sundays, I feel it, I feel it happening. Because when I was first going, Sundays was when I would just try new things, or just put a blank canvas up and say, let's see what happens here, and there's a bravery there. And when you are doing things that you have to be doing, or that you need to be doing, um, it to put a blank canvas up then becomes scary again, almost not as bad as it was at the beginning, but there's still a little bit of fear that, there's I didn't have in the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
And I know you see those 10-day things where you put up your art and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting to go back through things I've done. And I've been thinking lately, yeah, I need to really just allow myself the space to do whatever and not have it be something that has to go for a display or go for a workshop or be in a,
Yeah.
be a specific thing. So
Yeah, it is. It's a hard balance to strike. You mentioned earlier that you journal every
mhm.
morning. So do you have a morning routine?
Yes.
What
Yes.
does that look like for you?
Well, I get for when I wake up, my cat and my dog think that they've died without me overnight, first of all. So I give them, my dog has medication and he gets a treat, and then my cat is jealous, so he gets a treat. And then I have my coffee and I sit in my chair and I have one of those, I feel like such an old lady, but I have one of those trays that fold down and come up. And so in the living room, I have that. That's where I can do like sketching or doodling or, paints, pens, whatever. And that's where I have my notebook and I have my phone and I do devotional, read scripture. I think that because I kind of have ADD, that that's where that pen and paper dependency comes from, is that if I try and pray without pen and paper, you know, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. And I can jot down people I think of, or um, things that I think, um, that God has put on my heart, or questions I have about scripture. And actually, last week, I went, just the current notebook I'm in, and I have a bookcase of notebooks because I've done this for a while, for years, off and on for years. I went back through and read this notebook I have right now, which started in February, which is right about the time the store started. And it just is enlightening when you can go back and read stuff and you can see that prayers are answered. You can see your perception has changed on some things.
Yeah.
And it's good medicine.
It is. I know what you're talking. I know what you mean. I've done that before. I'm not in a good habit of it right now. I'd like to get back to that. That's something I'd like to get back to this year. But I know exactly what you mean, and it is. It's nice to see. It's almost like it recenters you when you take the time to go back and read through it, because that, we do that. We keep those notebooks, we keep those notes when we're feeling a little bit more centered, right? That's what, while we're writing, we're reflecting and we are centering ourselves. And I think we all go through periods where whatever it is that we do for ourselves, whether it's the journaling or whether it's a yoga practice or maybe just walking, whatever it is that we do to center ourselves, we're going to have times where we're not going to be as good at it, right? Like there's going to be times where we're going to get away from it. So when you have something like physical that you can hold in your hand and look back at during that period when you were centered, it's like, oh, I want to go back there. And it's like you remind yourself that I do know how to get back there. I don't know. It's encouraging. It's like past you is encouraging current you, and it's this cycle.
100%, because on the days that you are like, I don't have time, I slept in too late, there's not time for that, you can look back on that day and see how haphazard you spent the day compared to the day where you take the time to kind of, I kind of think of it as getting my marching orders, or just really resetting, like you say. And that way, when something comes up, like I really need my toothpaste, I can jot that. Like I have a system of the margins and this, and I'll jot the mundane things that come up in my brain up here, the body, and then like question marks and asterisks and different things on this side.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. I like that. I love that. So what, before we just completely sign off, like this is just a normal day, right? What are you doing today when we get off this call? Because we're doing this early in the morning. So like, what's
Yeah.
your day look like today?
I am going to run a few errands, some of those mundane type of things. And then I'm going to grab a couple of items that I want to work on while I'm at the shop. I will go to the shop from 11 to 6, and I will spend some time on some spreadsheets. It seems like in the morning, because it's not really morning, I guess 11 o'clock when I get there, but from 11 to around 2, I'm working mostly online on my laptop. And then about 2, I start to get hungry. And I realize that I feel like at that point, if anybody's going to come in over their lunch hour, that's past, and I can leave for 30 minutes and then come back. And that's when I am either creating something or rearranging the store or whatever until 6. And then I will hightail it back here because it's about a 30-minute trek. And at 7 o'clock tonight, I'm on Paint Pixie's page for their Easter marathon. And I'll do something for Easter on there. And then I'll eat again after that.
I hear you. Well, okay, I want to ask you a couple. I do the rapid fire questions, and then some of them aren't rapid fire, but I just feel like they're interesting. So I continue to ask them because they're fun. So beach or mountains?
Beach.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Books or movies?
Books.
Oh, there's one more. Oh, well, I blanked. I'll come back to it. So, okay. And so then this one is more of a, if you could go back in history to any point in history, but just to experience it because you want to, where would you go? Or what time period? Number one, what time period would you go to? And then where in the world would you go during that time period?
You know, I feel like this answer changes a lot right now. And this might have something to do with books and stuff like that. Right now, I think it would be really, I've always kind of had this. My mom used to, because I used to want to be, when I was little, I used to want to be on Little House on the Prairie. You know what I mean? That was like, I just really wanted to experience that. And my mom would be like, and when I do things now, like go out or whatever, my mom was like, you were always weird like that. But I would think, you know, the kind of rush west and claiming the land and that, you know, kind of thing. Okay. I guess.
Cool. No, that's neat.
I mean, there's a lot of where I'm at, there's a lot of history, you know, in Kansas, right. Oklahoma, and there's a lot of and I kind of romanticize it. I mean, let's be honest, you know, we're pretty spoiled right now.
Yeah, we do tend to romanticize things like that, which I think is okay though, because the thing of it is, in my opinion, at any point in history, things are in theory easier than they've ever been, right? Like, because innovation is what it is. So that time period, you know, I don't know. I totally see what you're saying though. I think it makes sense to romanticize it, even while still being realistic and being like, yeah, it would have sucked to have, you know, just died from a cold, but I mean, you know, but at the same time,
sometimes when you go and you think about those times in history, there aren't any choices. You are doing what you are assigned as your lot in life, either by race, gender, or class. And there's a lot of pressure to overcome certain things or to pay homage to certain things, whatever. Now, there was none of that. And I mean, not to get too, I mean, I don't know how if that makes me sound like I'm really simple, but sometimes it would be nice to say, I don't want to be, but you know what I'm trying to say, that there is this is what you're doing.
This, I can be focused on this. This is my job. And I don't have to think about all the other things.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, because obviously I'm so happy that we're not there.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, that's part of the, I think that's part of the romanticizing of it, is that
They
that's
didn't
what,
know what they didn't know, and sometimes
yeah,
there seems like there might have been safety in that or something.
yeah,
But
yeah, that's a better way to put
yeah,
it. They didn't
you're
know what
right.
they did. Because sometimes I get welling up in my head.
I completely understand that. I was talking with someone recently about the idea of compassion fatigue. And it's like, when now that, you hear a lot of people say, and I think it's a good phrase, like, once you know better, you do better. But we're living in a time period where we know better about a lot of things. And there's only so much that any one person can do about anything. And it can feel very overwhelming, because you can't fix everybody else. And I
It's hard.
understand
It's hard
completely.
when you have that kind of heart, for sure. And my friends and I have been talking a lot about and I'm not going to get it right, but it's a Brene Brown thing, the mirror, like compassion, pity, um, connection, control. Like
Yeah,
there's this, like you're really walking this narrow line. You want to be on the connection side, and you don't want to fall into trying to control someone.
right.
You want to have compassion for someone, and you definitely don't want to have pity, and
Yeah,
there's like 8 or 9 of them that have that kind of mirror, positive, negative
yeah.
thing.
I love
So
Brene Brown. I can't help you come up with the exact word you're looking for right now, but now I'm like, I'm gonna go look these up, because I think
I'll send it to you. I'll have my friend send a new book or something. I mean, I'll
is
have
it
my,
from okay, is it from Atlas of the Heart?
yes, I
Okay,
believe
that's her newest one, and I haven't read it yet. So
she's reading it right now, a friend of mine, and and so Alice and somebody they were talking, they were on a podcast or something. I'll get you the information.
there we go. All right, cool. Well, thank you for doing this with me today. This has been fun chatting and hear more about what you've got going on with your shop. And you guys, you can find all of Michelle's links in the show notes. We're going to put those in the description here on everything, on YouTube, on the podcast, because we're in all the places now. So you can
Awesome.
see Michelle's beautiful face and the artwork behind her on the wall if you watch the video, or you can just listen in on the conversation, and that's fine too, however you like to listen. So, but thank you for coming and doing this with me today, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
That's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Remember to check out the Makers Chat community so that you can dive deeper into the conversation. You'll find the link to join in our show notes. Have a beautiful week, and we will chat again soon.